Stephanie found the envelope on her desk. No return address, just her name typed on a plain label. Inside, a medical letterhead. She scanned the words and her blood turned to ice. The diagnosis read, personality disorder, no, NAS. Below that, 2 prior restraining orders.
He hid this, even from his own family. 3 years, and he never told me.
Without a sound, she pulled off her ring and placed it in his open palm.
What is this? You are throwing us away over a piece of paper.
I can't marry you, and I won't explain why.
He tried to block her path, but her expression made him step aside. Stephanie walked out into the evening, carrying a secret heavier than the ring. She told no one. Not her mother. Not her sister. The diagnosis wasn't hers to share. 3 days after Stephanie ended her engagement, her phone rang. Rachel's name flashed on the screen.
Steph, I know this is weird timing, but I had to tell you. Patrick and I eloped in Vegas.
A photo arrived moments later. Patrick and Rachel in a neon-lit chapel, both grinning, her ring enormous.
She married him. She doesn't know what's on that paper. She doesn't know about the restraining orders.
That night, Barbara hosted a dinner. Rachel couldn't stop showing off her ring to Stephanie.
It's exactly what I wanted. He even picked it out by himself. We're so happy.
Well, it's sudden, but at least one of my daughters can keep a man.
Stephanie's face remained composed, but her knuckles whitened under the table.
If I say anything now, I am the jealous ex. No one will believe me.
She decided right then. The diagnosis was not hers to share. Not tonight. Not ever. Later that night, a memory surfaced. Patrick's voice, the night she first held the letter.
This stays between us. I am not sick. It's a label. If you love me, you keep it to yourself.
He made me swear. Even his own family doesn't know.
The promise had felt like loyalty then. Now it felt like chains.
It's his medical information. I can't weaponize it, even if Rachel deserves to know.
She couldn't even tell her mother why she'd left a 3-year engagement.
If I warn Rachel now, I become the bitter ex. The truth has to come from him.
But deep down, she knew he would never volunteer it.
So I stay silent. And I pray Rachel never sees what I saw.
The secret took its place in the hollow of her ribs, growing heavier with each passing day. For 6 months, the surface held. Rachel posted honeymoon pictures, sunlit beaches, Patrick's arm around her shoulder. Stephanie watched from a distance, her worry tucked beneath a composed exterior. Then, in the dead hour of night, her phone rattled against the nightstand. A text from Rachel. I'm scared. Patrick smashed my windshield. He's never done that.
It's happening. The exact thing I was afraid of. The diagnosis wasn't wrong. What happened? Are you okay? Please answer me.
Rachel replied, he just snapped over something stupid. The car is wrecked. I am terrified. He's never done this before.
This matches the diagnosis. The explosive rage. The destruction of property. It's all there. Are you safe right now? Are you somewhere he can't get to you?
Rachel's answer. He's asleep. I locked the bathroom door. I don't know what to do. The first domino had fallen. The next afternoon, her phone rang. Rachel's voice came through the line, exhausted but steady.
He was so sorry, Steph. He cried right there in the driveway. Said he couldn't believe he did that.
She described a man who shattered a windshield, then shattered himself with remorse.
He blamed me for making him angry, but he promised it would never happen again.
Stephanie recognized the cycle. It was the same dance she'd learned to read in the letter. Has he ever talked to a therapist? Some things. Maybe there's more going on than you realize.
No, he's not crazy. He just had a bad day. You don't know him like I do.
That was exactly the problem. She knew him better than anyone.
Stephanie could feel the shadow of a pattern stretching over her sister, but her hands were tied.
Please, Steph. I need my sister to be happy for us. This is my marriage now.
A month later, the clock read 3:12 a.m. when Stephanie's phone rattled again.
He did it again. The windshield's gone, and he won't let me talk to my friends.
She described the brick, the shower of glass, Patrick's eyes when he threw it.
It's accelerating. exactly the way the report said it would.
He says I make him this way. That if I just listen, he wouldn't have to get so angry.
In the silence between her words, Stephanie heard the sound of a woman shrinking.
I am so alone. He watches my phone. You are the only person I can call.
Rachel, I can't tell you what to do, but you could talk to someone who knew him before. His ex, Carolyn.
The name landed heavily. Carolyn held the only version of the truth Stephanie could legally share.
Why? What do you know, Stephanie? What aren't you telling me?
Rachel arrived 30 minutes later, her hands still trembling. Stephanie led her to the kitchen table and slid a slip of paper across the wood. On it, Carolyn's name and a number. A memory flickered. The cafe, Carolyn's tired eyes, and her quiet promise to speak if Rachel ever called.
Why her? Why Carolyn? What does she know?
She's the only person who can tell you the truth without me breaking a promise.
You are not going to tell me yourself? You are just going to send me to a stranger?
I am giving you the shovel, Rachel. The digging is yours.
And if I call her, what then?
Then you'll know what I know. And you can decide what to do with it.
Rachel stood, the paper crumpled in her fist. She walked out without another word.
Please let her see what I saw before the glass breaks again.
2 days later, Rachel sat across from Carolyn in a quiet coffee shop. Carolyn's eyes held years of hard truth.
So you finally want the truth.
Why didn't anyone warn me? My own sister sent me here instead of just telling me.
2 women before you filed restraining orders against Patrick. I was one of them.
She slid a brown folder across the table. On the tab, the words restraining order were printed in neat block letters. Rachel opened it and saw the court stamps. 2 orders, 2 different years, 2 different women.
This is real. There's a pattern.
He picks women who don't talk to each other. It's how he stays invisible.
Is there something medical? A diagnosis I should know about?
I only know what the orders say. If there's more, your sister holds that key. Rachel clutched the folder and walked out, holding everything except the final secret. That night, Rachel came home holding the folder, her hands still trembling.
We need to talk about these. I know about the restraining orders.
Where did you get those? Those are lies from a crazy ex. You are just like Carolyn.
He stepped closer, his voice dropping into something cold and dismissive.
I never touched anyone. You are making this up because you want to be a victim.
She saw the same eyes she had seen at the windshield, dead calm, then the switch.
He advanced. She backed into the hallway. Then she turned and ran upstairs. In the bedroom, she threw clothes into a bag, her hands moving before her mind caught up. She grabbed the bag and her keys and walked out the front door, not looking back. An hour later, she stood on her mother's doorstep, shaking, folder against her chest. Rachel moved back into her childhood bedroom, the same pink walls she had left behind years before. Within a week, she sat in a lawyer's office and signed the annulment papers.
I can't believe this. And what did Stephanie know? She was engaged to him for 3 years.
Mom, please, not now. I just need to breathe.
But Barbara's mind was already spinning a different narrative.
She left him out of nowhere. She must have seen something, and she said nothing to us.
That evening, Stephanie's phone lit up with a text from her mother. The message was short. "We need to talk. I know you knew something."
Here it comes. She's looking for someone to blame, and I am the obvious target.
She set the phone down without replying. The storm was far from over. 2 days later, Barbara set 3 plates. The tension in the dining room was thick enough to taste.
You sat across from me for 3 years. Stephanie, you must have known what he was hiding.
I wasn't asked, and his diagnosis wasn't mine to share.
Diagnosis? What diagnosis? You are telling me there's a medical file and you kept it from your own sister all this time?
Wait, what is she talking about? What diagnosis?
It's not my place to discuss another person's private medical history. I did what I believed was morally right.
You chose him over your sister. You let her walk into a nightmare.
No, Mom. I chose decency over gossip. There's a difference.
Rachel's fork clattered onto her plate. The room fell silent except for the ticking clock.
In this silence, I understand. The cost of my silence is now a debt no one else can carry, and I still won't apologize.
As the front door closed behind their mother, Rachel grabbed Stephanie's wrist and pulled her back into the dim kitchen.
What was the diagnosis? I need to know what that letter said.
I can't tell you, Rachel, but you have a right to the truth from him. Ask him to sign a release for his medical records.
You are protecting him. After everything, you are still protecting him.
I am protecting myself from ever being accused of ruining your marriage with information I wasn't supposed to have.
Rachel stared at her sister. For the first time, she saw not a traitor, but someone who followed a painful code.
So, you just swallowed it? For almost a year? Alone?
Yes, because I believed the truth had to come from the source, not from resentment.
Maybe she's not the enemy. Maybe she's just the only one who kept her word.
Something shifted in Rachel's chest. The anger didn't vanish, but it shared space with a grudging respect. The annulment processed faster than anyone expected. Patrick didn't contest a single line, but Barbara's anger only calcified. She stopped answering Stephanie's calls entirely.
She knew. She let this happen. I will never understand how a mother can be so blind to her own child's danger.
I knew this silence would cost me my mother, but I would do it again.
Rachel, caught in the crossfire, chose disappearance. Months slipped by without a call or a message. At Barbara's house, the dining table remained set for two, as if three had never existed. Stephanie spent the holidays in her apartment, a single plate at her table, the ghost of her mother's blame filling the room. Barbara penned a letter, short and sharp. Until you admit you were wrong, don't return. It arrived without an envelope, folded inside a grocery coupon.
Admitting I was wrong would mean I regret keeping a promise. I don't.
The rift had become a canyon, and no amount of silent righteousness could bridge it overnight. A friend pressed her. Just tell them. This silence is destroying your relationship with your mother.
If I tell them, I become the person who uses private medical information as a weapon. I won't become that.
She held that line even as invitations stopped, and the holidays came cold and silent. She found a new apartment, lighter than the one she had shared with him. Box by box, she rebuilt a solitary but honest space. On her first night, she held the new key and felt something she hadn't in months: relief.
She knew her mother would never understand why she had to carry this alone, but every day she kept the secret was a day she kept her word. And that she could live with.
She put the key on a hook by the door and let the quiet become something close to peace. The diagnosis remained locked away, but so did her self-respect. 18 months after the annulment, Rachel sat in a therapist's office and finally listened, not to Patrick, but to herself. The therapist didn't hand her conclusions. She held up a mirror, and Rachel recognized the reflection. After the session, Rachel walked through the park, a new thought settling into her chest.
She didn't hide it to hurt me. She hid it because it wasn't hers to tell.
That evening, she opened her contacts and let her thumb hover over Stephanie's name. The phone rang twice, then voicemail. Rachel's voice caught before she spoke.
Steph, it's me. I'd like to talk, if you are ready. No pressure. Just, I miss you.
She ended the call and stared at the screen, her pulse a quiet drum.
Maybe she won't answer, but now she knows the door is open.
The voicemail sat unplayed in Stephanie's inbox for nearly a week. In her new apartment, Stephanie finally pressed play. Rachel's voice filled the quiet room. The message wasn't an accusation. It was the sound of someone finally untangling grief from blame. She stared at the phone for a long minute, then pressed the call button before her courage could dissolve.
Steph, thank you for calling. I wasn't sure you would.
I almost didn't, but your message sounded unlike the girl who married him.
I am not that girl anymore. I am not calling to ask what he wrote on that paper. I am calling to say I am sorry. I blamed you because it was easier than blaming myself for not seeing, and I was wrong.
I never wanted you to get hurt. I just couldn't be the one to tell you.
I know that now. It took therapy and a lot of quiet mornings. Can we try again? Slowly.
They agreed to meet at a park, away from Barbara's shadow. After hanging up, Stephanie reached for an old photograph, the two of them as children. Arms linked, she stared at it for a long time. After the call, the full weight of the secret pressed against her ribs. She had never spoken the exact words aloud to anyone. The letter had read, "Narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial traits. Prone to explosive rage. 2 prior domestic violence restraining orders." She had torn the paper into pieces and thrown them into the bin, but each clinical phrase was seared into her memory.
I kept the secret not for him, but because I refused to become someone who weaponizes another person's illness.
She placed the torn fragments she had saved into an envelope and locked them in a drawer, not as evidence, but as a reminder of the line she would not cross.
Rachel may never know the clinical words, but she knows enough to be free. That has to be enough.
The park meeting loomed. She would not bring the letter. She would bring only herself and the truth she could offer without breaking her word.
The hardest part isn't keeping the secret. It's knowing my mother will never understand why I had to.
She hooked the key back on the wall and rehearsed what she could say, not the diagnosis, but the apology for the silence that was never her fault. She stood by the window, watching the last light drain from the sky. The secret was still hers, but so was the power to decide when silence turned into armor. Rachel arrived at Stephanie's new apartment, holding a small velvet box and a decade of regret.
I brought you something. It's not an apology. That's coming. It's just a beginning.
She opened the box. Inside lay a necklace with 2 interlinked rings, sisters, unbroken.
I am so sorry, Steph. I should have trusted you. You were never the enemy.
I never needed you to be sorry. I needed you to be safe. I forgive you. But Mom and I, that's a longer road and I can't walk it yet.
I understand. I won't pressure you, but I am here for good.
They stood and held each other, not the stiff hug of strangers, but the desperate grip of sisters who had almost drowned separately. In that embrace, the years of silence cracked, but did not shatter. What remained was real and fragile and theirs. Stephanie wore the necklace every day after that, a promise not of perfection, but of permanence. That night, Stephanie sat at her desk and wrote a letter she had rehearsed in her mind for months. "I loved you both enough to let the truth come from its source. I am sorry that cost us each other, but I won't apologize for doing the hard thing." She sealed the envelope and dropped it in the mail the next morning. No return address. 3 days later, Barbara held the letter at her kitchen table, her face hardening line by line. "I won't attend family gatherings you host until you can see my silence as a choice I made for reasons that were never about you." She finished reading. Then she set the page down, her expression unchanged. No call came that night. Stephanie waited by her phone, but silence was the only answer she received.
Some bridges can't be rebuilt in a day. Or ever.
She hung the key beside the necklace, 2 symbols of different doors she had chosen to walk through. The ache didn't leave, but it became something she could carry without doubling over. 2 years passed. One ordinary morning, a notification lit up her phone, a name she hadn't searched for. Patrick was engaged. The algorithm had decided she needed to know. She tapped the profile against her better judgment. The woman beaming next to him was blonde, late 20s, with an expression of unguarded hope. She looked almost like Rachel. The same trusting eyes, the same smile from before the bruises.
I wonder if she knows about the letter.
Stephanie zoomed in on the woman's face, searching for a flicker of wariness. There was none.
She looks at him the way Rachel did that first month.
Stephanie's thumb hovered over the screen, but she didn't send a warning. The cycle was not hers to break. She closed the app and set the phone face down on the table. His story was no longer hers to follow. The notification faded. She didn't delete it, but she didn't open it again either. She caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. The gray button-down still fit, but something in her eyes had softened.
She had kept her word. Not to him, to herself.
In a small box on her dresser, she kept the torn fragments of the letter. Not as a weapon, but as a reminder of the weight she had chosen to carry alone. Next to it lay the necklace. The 2 interlinked rings Rachel had given her. She stepped outside. The morning sun was clean and uncomplicated. She walked the path beside the lake. The same path she had walked 100 times with the secret pressing between her ribs.
Today, the weight was still there, but it no longer bent her shape.
She stopped at the water's edge, watching the light fracture into 1,000 golden pieces. She did not need the world to understand. She had Rachel. She had her key. She had a life built on the foundation of a hard, clean choice, and that, she finally believed, was enough. They never met at their mother's house again. Instead, they chose a park bench or a quiet cafe. Two sisters rebuilding a world small enough to hold but wide enough to breathe.
I still think about what I would do differently.
We all do, but we can't rewrite the past. Only make peace with who we became because of it.
Sometimes they would fall silent, letting the phone calls or the coffee cups say what words could not. The photograph of their childhood sat on Stephanie's shelf, a reminder of before and a promise of after. They didn't discuss Barbara. They rarely mentioned him. The past was there, but they had learned to walk around it.
Do you think we'll ever have dinner at Mom's again?
Maybe, but only if the table has room for the truth, and I won't shrink it to fit.
They sat in the quiet, two survivors of the same storm, no longer needing to explain the rain, and that small, quiet peace was a story worth telling.